Hi, I'm Wayne Tuttle, and welcome to Chasing Legends. Welcome back to Chasing Legends. This will be the Halloween Havoc month we're starting off. Last year we did it. We did a number of videos and episodes. I guess you would stretch into the unknown, the supernatural, the paranormal. Ooh, ha, 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 ha. And we're going to get all these set up so everybody kind of experiences something a little different. This is a shared story from someone else who contacted me concerning the Lights in the Dawn's Camp story. And then I told them about several other stories, and we talked it over, and she wanted to share the story. So we're going to call her Gina. Gina was a student at Arizona State University at this time. She ended up with a master's, I think it was in social services or something. Said she was attending college, and they decided with a group of friends to go out and camp and spend a night in the Superstitions. They'd heard some stuff about this and all. So she said they got everything together. They were going to go back in the mountains. She said there was 5 of them, her boyfriend, and 3 other friends. Now these other 3 friends were drinking and stuff, and they got a much delayed start. She said we didn't even get there till it's almost sundown or getting dark. But she said they were drinking, got kind of rowdy and boisterous. They went hiking in. Best we can tell, and from what she can share, because she's not familiar with the mountains, this is her one and only trip in the mountains in her entire life. She believes it was Peralta Trailhead parking lot, and they went up Peralta or Willow Canyon. She said they walked for a short time, and they found a cleared area where they could pitch their tents. So they had tents, they pitched the tents. It was dark and all this, and they set camp. Well, the others, I guess, decided they're going to head back up the trail more and kind of go look around and stuff, and they were being kind of loud. She said, so it was kind of nice for me and my boyfriend that they kind of wandered off, she said, because it got quiet. It was nice. And they spent some time in camp, and then they thought, well, we should maybe we'll go for a walk too. Now we've given them some distance. We'll start walking up the trail. So they started walking up the trail for a while, and they get up into there. And she said they found off to the side, to the right, there was this, she called it Table Mesa. It was like a big table rock, flat rock. And her and her boyfriend got up on there. She said the moonlight was pretty good. You could actually see around in the moonlight pretty well, as long as you didn't have a flashlight in your eyes or nothing. So she said they saw that. They went over to sit on that, and then they laid back and did kind of like what you call yoga-like breathing exercises. Clearing their heads and stuff. And she said that we laid back and did that for a while. And then she said we sat up and we're looking around. She said the stars are all out. It's totally quiet. We couldn't even hear our friends anymore. So she said it got very peaceful. We just sat there in the quiet together. Said it was very, very nice. And she said after probably maybe an hour, they decided, well, we better head back to camp, because the friends might have got around them and went down the trail and passed by. They didn't really catch them or hear them. So she said, we figured get back to the trail, we could see where we needed to go, and then head back to camp. So she said they got down, they started walking back to camp. Now she made this point several times. She said, we did not do any drinking, though the others had been drinking. So she said there were no drugs or anything involved. She said, we're going down the trail. And she was describing the trail. If you've been on that trail, it does a winding where you'll turn, and there'll be a bend where you turn into, and then you'll kind of wind around another bend. She said at one point they could see light, and she said they thought it was the camp. Someone had a lantern lit or a campfire, and they were seeing their camp. So they thought, okay, we must have been closer to camp than we thought. We're going to turn the bend, and we're going to be in camp. And she said they turned the corner, and there in front of them, probably 20, 30 feet, there was this pyramid of light, and she said it was like green. And she said they kind of just stopped looking at it like, what's that? Her description in detail was it was a pyramid shape, but she said it was round at the bottom and then rounded at the top. So more like a cone of light. But she said it was translucent. You could kind of see kind of through it. It was kind of clear, but it was green. But the light that emanated off of it, she said, would be like a flashlight, a campfire. So it had a glow to it, but that light was normal. And she said we were looking around, you could see everything. But this was green, and she said it was very odd. I asked her, did it pulsate? She said, no, it did not pulsate. It was just this green. There was nothing moving in it, nothing, just normal. She said they didn't have any fear. They were just totally transfixed on what this could be. And it was just off to the side of the trail, and they're looking at it. And she said it wasn't hovering, it was on the ground. And she was trying to process what she's seeing. So she kept her eyes on it. She's walking up, and then finally she decided, I'm going to walk over and touch it. So she got close. The only thing she said when we were there, any spoken words, was her boyfriend, as she was walking and going to reach out and touch it, said, don't touch it, very quietly. And then she said, I pulled my hand back and stopped. Now she said she was about 5'8", and she said it was probably about 5'5", 5'4". It was shorter than her, but it was almost as tall as her. So she said she was able to kind of check the size and the depth of it and so forth, and she got that close within a few feet. She said at that point, her and the boyfriend didn't ever feel threatened, but were just not quite sure what they were dealing with, and then just got kind of moved back to the path and just walked around it. She said, as soon as we turned the corner, we never looked back, but we got down a couple more bends where we thought nothing could be heard, and then I turned to my boyfriend, and I said, what did you see back there? And she said he described the same thing she did. And she said it was just so odd because she said she couldn't make heads or tails of it. She said they got back to camp, talked about it a little, trying to kind of in their heads sort out, okay, this is what we saw. What does that mean? What could it possibly be? She said, I'm not sure. She said, I felt like it was alive or there was something there, but she said there was no determination of what she could mean or think it would be. So they're in camp for a while, and then the others come back, and they're making a little bit of noise, but they hear them coming back in, and then they come in. So they instantly start asking them, hey, you came back through the same way. Did you come down through here? Yes. Did you see this? And now they're thinking they're crazy because they're like, what do you mean you saw this green cone pyramid thing on the side of the trail? And they're like, no, it was like over 5 feet tall. You couldn't have missed it. And she said everything about it didn't make sense to her. You think it'd be a green glowing light around it, but she said it wasn't. It was just normal light around it, what it emanated. So they talked that. Well, she said after that, she always tried to process it. She told a few friends and people, and of course you get the crazy thing, but she said that's the only experience I really ever had of anything like that in my entire life. And she said I always kind of kept it, because I was only in Arizona for a year or two, and then she said I left. We never went back. She said we talked about it. She said she wished she knew where the ex-boyfriend was to kind of hear his side of the story today, what he thought in hindsight. But I was very happy she shared it because it was so unusual, sort of similar to the red lights or the red fire thing back along Peralta Road, back in that way, behind the quarter circle U, and then the Dawn's lights, and even the Hopper light that we talk about. It's kind of odd because they're all different. They have a whole different characteristic and everything, but they're very unusual. Nobody ever feels like totally weirded out or anything. So we talked about it, and I processed it with her, and I told her, I know it's been a long time because, let's face it, it's been almost 30 years since she would have seen this, 25 to 30 years. And I said, well, we are dealing with an area that's a caldera. Could it have been gases? Somehow gases or something from the ground or something formed something, and your mind just basically saw this shape and you thought it was. And she said, no, it was really a defined shape. She said, it stayed the same defined shape. Now, we don't know how long their experience lasted or how long they were, and she very much believes in it. But what she's looking for is, has anybody ever seen anything like that? And she said, I don't know if it's alien, if it's natural occurrence. She said it was just so odd and well-defined. She's never been able to get it out of her mind. Now she's in her 50s and she's a grandmother and all this. And I appreciate her sharing the story because, again, I've never heard anything quite like that. And I know that's a well-traveled area in certain periods. She's going to give me as best as she can, because the problem is the exact spot is going to be very difficult to pin down. But it's very interesting because, like I said, there's hundreds of people possibly on most days that travel through that area. And for something that happened, a natural occurrence, you would think you would hear a story or two about it. But I don't know. Could it be natural gases? Could it be some other trick of the light or something that would cause that? But the shape and everything, like she said, it never wavered. It did not have anything moving in it, anything like that. It was just like a fixed object on the ground. And she said, but it was translucent. And she said it just has always bugged her. So there's a mysterious story for everyone. I don't know if it's something we check out at the rendezvous or someone wants to check out or someone has that experience. If you had an experience similar to this somewhere in the mountains or somewhere else and have a reason or a cause or effect for why, Gina would love to see comments. So I'm going to let her know. She's going to try to give us a honed in spot. Chances are, since no one's ever reported, we've never heard anything like this before, the chances of going out and check it out are just make it just so remote. So it seems to be a one-time occurrence, much like other stories. So there you go. That's the story this month. Starting the month into our Halloween havoc and mysterious stories, the mysterious pyramid of green light. Please hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Check out our website at www.Legend of the Superstition Mountains. And follow with us through this month as we talk about these numerous different kind of odd stories from the mountains and people's firsthand accounts, and maybe one or two shared by me. And we'll kind of like evolve into this. So it gives everybody kind of something to think about as we get back into the mountains this winter. And something you might see off in the distance and say, wow, that's kind of a greenish hue, but you have a natural explanation. So there you go. It was great. I'm thanking Gina for sharing that with us because it was a pretty awesome story and one of a kind in its own uniqueness. And I truly believe that's exactly from what she said. She did not do the telltale signs of when people are storytelling. She said she just felt a need to kind of put that out there. So thank you, Gina, for sharing that with us all. And always remember, until the next time, I'm always Wayne Tuttle. No, that didn't work right. I'm Wayne Tuttle, you're not. And this is Chasing Legends.